an ADOS dude. There was an ADOS dude named Bill something, Bill the Icon.
Right. Bring up all the dirty laundry.
A woman has to be in a position that she can be protected.
Uh-oh.
A woman has to deserve protection by the way she live her life or present herself.
Talk to him.
A woman has to require protection because she is in her place, in her lane. And then men might feel that they can step in and protect her. A lot of our women don't want to be protected. You can't protect them whether anybody bothering them along. Sometimes we try to protect our women from a bad idea. She don't want no protection. So there's no situation where a man that don't know a woman can walk down the street and see somebody doing something to her and automatically just jump in. So that has to be an individual choice, and it has to be a situation where the woman is in order, not out there cussing, jumping up in men's face, screaming and hollering, acting a fool, trying to act like she a man. And then when some other man deal with her like she a man, then she want you to jump in and save her. It don't work like that.
It doesn't.
It don't work like that.
It absolutely doesn't.
And you have to be careful, because black women will book a fight for you and walk away.
So I have been wanting to get over to this one here. This is a story that came to my attention a few weeks ago. This actually was an incident that occurred on May 18th, in which a 57-year-old pastor, mother of two, who worked at the Connections at Metropolitan Church here in Atlanta, Georgia. This pastor was helping a young man named Christopher Griggs. She was mentoring him and giving him support as he had just been released from prison. And she was over to his home this evening when this occurred, when Mr. Griggs attacked Reverend Harrell with a large kitchen knife. He moved the body in her car, and I guess in an effort to hide the evidence, he set the car on fire with Reverend Harrell inside. He was shortly arrested on suspicion of murder. Christopher Griggs, that is. And Reverend Harrell's body and vehicle were discovered by her husband, Antonio Harrell, and her oldest daughter, Marita Harrell, as they went looking for her when she didn't return home after her appointment with Mr. Griggs. So they tracked her cell phone to the location where they discovered the burnt car with the body of Mrs. Harrell inside. And the backstory to the incident again, Christopher Griggs had just been released from prison, and Reverend Harrell was offering him support and mentoring. But we find out that her husband, Antonio, had been uneasy about some of the troubled men that the pastor had been so-called called to help. He did mention that was a point of contention between the two for a while, and I guess between her and the family as a whole. Everybody felt uneasy about these troubled men that the pastor was assisting. to the point where they actually begged her to be careful. And not only did they beg her to be careful, they begged her to be careful specifically with Christopher Griggs. Mr. Harrell says that he called her phone a few weeks ago. I guess her information is available, and he called, and she began to assist him. Mr. Harrell expressed his misgivings about the young man, and what she said to him was that God has placed these people in my path, and I cannot turn away from them. The couple's youngest daughter said of her mom that she is just the best person that I have ever met, and I am so lucky to have had her been my mother. And this is a tragedy, because if someone is putting themselves in a position where they're reaching back and assisting those who are less fortunate or in positions where they are compromised financially, socially, especially coming home from prison, can be a situation, where you feel like you're thrown into a washing machine. Things are moving very fast. And if you're absolutely trying to legitimately get on your feet, for there to be people willing to reach back and assist you, I think that is a blessing. That is a good thing. But the point that I really want to get across in this story, the lesson to take away, because Reverend Harrell is gone. And like I said, it's a tragedy. But as sad as her death is, I think that there's a lesson for those who have been left behind. And immediately what comes to mind is the fact that she was warned by her husband, and she was backed up by he was backed up by the family, but she was warned by her husband. And that's why I posted this scripture on the screen, because Mrs. Harrell was in fact a reverend. And we know what the good book says. And that scripture is from Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Wives, obey your husbands as you obey the Lord. It goes on to say, the husband is the head of the wife, just as Christ is the head of the church people. The church is his body, and he saved it. And verse 24 says, wives should obey their husbands in everything, just as the church people obey Christ. Wives should obey their husbands in everything. And Reverend Harrell was married, and her husband warned her against going to the home of Christopher Griggs. Again, he had misgivings about the whole ministry, as any man in his right mind would or should. But specifically for this man, Mr. Griggs felt a strong sense of danger, and he communicated that to his wife, who flouted his warning and instruction, and because of that, she is no longer with us. And hearkening back to Sister Shahrazad Ali's statement that a woman has to be in a position where she can be protected.
A woman has to be in a position that she can be protected.
And that just means that she has to be beneath the covering, behind the wall, she must be in cooperation. This brings to mind a scene from the movie The Bodyguard, Kevin Costner, Whitney Houston. And the whole premise of that relationship was Kevin Costner was hired as a bodyguard to protect Whitney Houston, who was a famous pop superstar. But in the beginning of the detail, she was very uncooperative. She continually tried to draw Kevin Costner into a more personal relationship rather than a professional one. Kevin Costner made every effort, as far as the storyline goes, to remain in a professional position, neutral. But the gist of the situation was, Kevin Costner was assigned to protect her, but he needed her cooperation in doing so. So if he laid out some boundaries and some guidelines, she needed to stay within those boundaries and guidelines in order to remain under his protection. If she were to step outside of those guidelines and those boundaries and something was to happen, no doubt it would fall back on to the bodyguard. But we have to keep in mind that if a client steps over the boundaries that you set for protection, they have to bear some responsibility in that. They have to bear some responsibility in that. And as sad as it is, and as sad as the situation is, Miss Harrell has to bear some responsibility. She'd been married to this man, Mr. Harrell, for more than 27 years. And Mr. Harrell was backed by the couple's oldest daughter, Marae, who also felt a strong sense of danger when it came to Mr. Christopher Griggs. He was 27 years old. Miss Harrell was 57. So she was twice his age. And he was just home from prison. So wives, obey your husbands. A woman has to want to be protected. And apparently in this situation, Mrs. Harrell thought it prudent to step outside of the bounds of the protection of her husband. And now we have a tragic ending to her story. And while Mr. Griggs may face justice, this woman is gone. And in such a tragic way, attacked with a kitchen knife and burned and discarded as so much trash. And, I'm not sure how long Mrs. Harrell was actually a pastor. I did find some old footage of Miss Harrell from years ago. I think it was over 10 years, where it looks like she was doing some stand-up comedy. I may post a clip of that, but yeah, I was trying to look into her background, and she seemed to be a very outgoing person. She seemed to be very outgoing. And, I don't want to cast aspersion on Reverend Harrell, but you have to wonder about the relationship. You have to wonder about the dynamics, what was actually going on there. We don't have a motive yet. Maybe he'll divulge his reasoning and motive for attacking her and killing her sometime during his trial or whatever the case may be, his court proceedings. But I'm sure that that's a question. What were the dynamics? Was he wanting a relationship? Did she refuse him and he attacked her? Were they in a relationship? Did she try to cut it off and it went bad after that? I mean, these are just questions again. As a man who has been married, who has been in situations where, my concern was expressed for my lady, and I may have felt as if she was not staying within the boundaries of the guidelines of my protection. So I can definitely understand where Antonio Harrell, Mrs. Harrell's husband, I can understand his position. And I would definitely have these questions as well. He tried to burn the body. Was there anything untoward that occurred in regards to an attack or any events that may have transpired between the two? Again, these are just questions, but the main focus is, in order to be protected, you have to want to be protected. You have to be in position. You can't be out of order. Now, if you don't want to be protected, that's another story. And if you out here carrying yourself in in situations that might not be the best situations, and something egregious happens to you, I guess you're ready and willing to accept the consequences of your actions. But I see it time and time again where women step out of bounds, out of the guidelines, get themselves into a situation where they're forced to bear the consequences of their actions, and then they want to scream for help. There was just a video of a young lady, if you want to call her that, attacking a man, and they were black, in a Dollar Tree discount store, where the young lady, again, and I use that word loosely, physically attacked this man, grabbed a handful of his hair. He had dreadlocks, was flinging him and pulling him this way and that way throughout the store. And the young man did everything he could do to, first of all, protect his hair from being pulled from the root. But he did everything in his power to pull back as far as doing anything to her physically, because he could have easily put her down. It could have really, been a 1-2, and she could have been on the floor asleep. But the brother, kudos to him, did everything in his power to not attack her in kind. And there was a point in the scuffle in which he did push the lady down on the ground. And as soon as he made a move in the self-defense, then everyone swarmed. There were 2 other ladies and another man jumped on him, telling him, "Oh, no, that's a woman. You can't be doing that." So, it's a double standard for sure at play. We have a culture nowadays where women are very independent, very assertive, very aggressive, asserting themselves in situations, approaching men in an aggressive manner. And when the energy is met in kind, a lot of times, I'm not saying that women out here can't protect themselves, but I've seen so many situations where it went bad. And You know, now the young lady's screaming, you know, protect me, help me, somebody help me. And nobody's coming to help you. You know, I actually stepped in. Well, actually, I did not step in, but as I was entering into a Kroger one day, there was a man outside arguing with a lady, and she was coming inside, and I didn't understand the argument, but I kept seeing her go back out the door to say, you know, some more to him, and they were having a dispute. Come to find out, it was the gentleman was outside trying to sell a dog. I guess it was a Pomeranian or Shih Tzu, some sort of expensive toy dog, because we bumped in, you know, I bumped into her again in the grocery store, and you know, she said something to me, and I can't remember what she said, but I immediately asked her what was that about. She said, oh, he was out there trying to scam people by selling them, trying to pass a dog off, you know, as a purebred, whatever it was. And she was saying that it wasn't what he said it was. So she was trying to, you know, let him know that he shouldn't be out here trying to trick people. And first thing came to my mind was, hey, you know, that's not your position. If if he done something wrong to you, that'd be one thing. But to just step to this man who's outside selling a puppy that has nothing to do with you, whether that dog is counterfeit or not, for her to step to that man, confront that man, and then to get into a verbal altercation with that man, and to go back and forth with that man, she doesn't know what this guy will do, especially if she's trying to bust his hustle. See, you can't be doing that. You can't, you know, especially on the street. You know, this is Southwest Atlanta. You can't be stepping in on somebody's toes and expect for it to go well, especially somebody that's out here hustling to eat. It could go bad for you. But it was a crowded Kroger parking lot right in the front entrance. So I guess she felt, you know, safe and secure. But, you know, I immediately let her know, like, hey, that's not the best course of action. You shouldn't be out here arguing with some strange man. Something could happen to you. And no, I know how to protect myself. Da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, look, I'm just trying to protect black women. And, you know, her face kind of stiffened up. You know, she knew where I was coming from. And I just walked away. You know, I'm trying to protect her from a bad idea. It's a bad idea to, first of all, step on somebody's toes when they're out here hustling. It has nothing to do with you. If Kroger security hasn't ushered this man off the property, it's not your job to stop whatever he's doing. And if you feel so compelled, then you go tell security. And if security feels that he needs to go, you let them make that decision. They have security, and I believe they armed. So, you know, I see so many instances where, you know, men are trying to lead women away from trouble, and, you know, women are steady running to trouble. So, like I said, a very sad situation with the Reverend Marita Harrell being stabbed and burned by a man that she was allegedly trying to help get his life back on track. But again, keep in mind, you have to be in a position where you can be protected. But first of all, you have to want to be protected. So hop down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You can also purchase a monthly membership to the channel. And if you want to donate to the Cash App, the Cash App link is in the descriptions. Cash App Bill Money, BILLMONEY. Well, if you want to give a super thanks, you know, I appreciate all support. But most of all, like this video, share this video. And it's your man online, Bill Money, signing off. I'll see you on the other side.